Hey, welcome all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab where I can do what I do for you. And I'm about to put something together today. I hope you enjoy it. This is going to separate the fans from the students. Okay, if you're a fan, you might not want this, but if you're a student, you're going to love it. Let's go. Right thinking. Right as 25 Rule to Live By. Storytelling. Story with a message. We got a good one for you today. These are life lessons I'm giving them. You tune in and receiving them. We got a good thing going. The mission statement states, right thinking mission is to enlighten you. I hope I'm doing that. Inspire you. I'm trying to do that. Educate you. I'm definitely doing that. And motivate you. Hopefully that'll get it done. To what? You, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment, knowing yourself. I'm going to tell you about yourself today. I got a good lesson. Speaking of self, good segue. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's the mission. I'm always on a mission. Now I have a question. After the question, we get to the lesson. The question is, know thyself. Excuse me. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. Don't be them. Some of us are. A person who knows not, but know that they know not. I love that. They're simple. I can teach them. That's why I do what I do. It's for you. I got you. I got a good one for you. A person who knows not and believe that they know, dangerous, avoid them. I do. A person who knows, but knows not that they know. Oh, I love them. Why? They just spiritually asleep. I'm the spiritual alarm clock. I'm here to wake you up with knowledge of self. Let's go. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons at one time or another reside in you. Right thinkers know thyself. It's Maya, be true. When you know who you are, you will know that you have 9 parts to the personality. Okay? It's called 9 elements of the personality. I'm about to break that down to you, take you for a nice little lesson through your personality. And if you can understand this, you have a better understanding of who you are. Let's go. So, in order to properly understand my concept of the Per M Haru, which is the book of coming forth by day, or the book of the dead they claim. The reason they claim the book of the dead because it was buried with the deceased for the spells and connotations for the afterlife. Okay, oh, that's understandable. But from the Perham Haru Egyptian book of coming forth by day, enlightenment, you will need to have a full understanding. That's the problem with most followers of religion. They don't get a full understanding because it's the education that comes with it. And having a full understanding in the wisdoms of the 9 parts of the elements of the human personality, that's having knowledge of self. I'm going to give you knowledge of who you are. I'm going to bring you up to speed on personality traits that's in you, whether you know it or not. The idea is to know it, so then it won't be foreign. You'll know who you are. Watch this. Let's go. Now, it's very important. First of all, this is my book that I started 2 years ago. Had it for a different purpose and different reason, but eventually the information came full circle, so I'm using it now to teach my students. See, somehow things just work out. Let's go. This is a good lesson. I appreciate when you tune in and get this one. Now, it's very important that you know, not believe, and understand the architecture of the human body, aka the Constitution. Mind, body, the soul. The 3 aspects of the human body. That's the aspect. But there's 9 parts to the personality of the body. We're going to talk about that. That's where we're going with this. Stay with me. That means you have understanding of how your mind and heart coherence works. Gotta calm myself down. Remember, I'm on my throne right now. I feel like I'm on top of this. All right, here you go. Now, they work together. You got to bring them into harmony. You got to get them working together. Heart, mind, coherence. This is an ancient Egyptian concept. We called it Maya. That's how you get it. You live, do, and be, and take your lessons. This means understanding. Okay, I told you that part. Okay, understanding what? How it works. These elements are not really, okay, known by ordinary people due to what? Their lack of spiritual knowledge. Everybody don't want to know themselves. Some people don't care. Okay, but for those who know they don't know, I got you. That's what I'm doing this for. All right. Now, that's because of, I call it spiritual ignorance, ignorance of self. Whatever you want to look at it, it's not a good thing. Okay, so this is why we got teachers. This is why you have sages. This is why you have gurus. All I want to do is get information to those who are looking for the truth. That's all I got for you. Spiritual truth from my concepts. That's all. That's because the Per M. Haru, the Book of the Dead, makes, watch this, a distinction between these elements because the human personality is really a conglomerate or composite of several aspects or levels of existence. We know we're molecules, we know we're blood, we know all got all organs, we know all that. The Egyptians knew all that too. It's not nothing new. They knew how the body worked a long time ago. Please, excuse me, plus some of these elements, watch this, may not be effective in all planes of human existence. We have 3 different aspects of human existence, such as examples, watch this, the ka may not be useful or discernible in the ta, or the physical plane, which is right here. But the ka is inside, so it's going to function at its own level, but that's another lesson. But watch this. It's giving you a breakdown of understanding how all 9 of them work interactually with each other in the same body. The ka on the physical plane, while the ka may not be discernible or useful in the pet, which is the heavenly plane we call the dua. Okay? So, understanding that. And it's also necessary, watch this, to know about these elements. Why? Because in knowing them, you will be able to what? Gain a greater insight into what? The higher planes of existence and learn the teachings of the right thinking philosophy, aka Per Haru, Maya. You will concentrate on what? The subtle human anatomy and the anatomy of what? All existence. You're learning about yourself, where you come from, what you're about, aka get knowledge of self. That's what it's all about. These are lessons. Watch this. Now we will be talking about, I'm going to be talking about those 3 planes of existence. They are the physical, the astral, and the causal planes. You will notice in everything that we're doing, Trinity, God tell you I was 1, then I become 3. When you're dealing with Trinity, that's the best. The triangle, this here, strongest force, no, still standing pyramids, okay? There's something about the way it's laid out, the way it's constructed. It don't collapse on itself. It keeps itself sturdy on all right angles. Now, watch this. They all work and how, okay, the 3 planes. You got the astral, physical, astral, and causal planes of existence, and how they work and how they all relate to the elements that compose of the human personality. We're about to get to the nitty gritty. It's giving you a lead up. I like the idea of it's taking on a little. It's gonna be a little while, but we're about to get revved up. All right. But first of all, we will review what the themes and essential wisdom that we learned from what? The book of the Egyptian Yoga. When I first started this thing out 5 years ago, that's the book that I read. The Egyptian Yoga, and broke a bunch of stuff down. Okay, the philosophy of enlightenment. I'm teaching how to become your best self with spiritual knowledge, and you become spiritual enlightenment. They call it the Nihas. Christians call it Christhood. Okay, the anointed. But having knowledge of self comes from being tutored, being taught, and then being learned and lived. Manifestation. The myth, the ritual, and then the mystic. The mystic is the 3rd part, like in the degree. An apprentice for the craft and master. Manifestation is mastering what it is you're learning. Understand that? So here we go. Let's go. Now, the philosophy of enlightenment, then we can, which learned the philosophy of enlightenment, my first book that I read, who brought me this and that point. Then you can proceed to what? Look into the nature of subtle spiritual self, which with more depth and detail and understanding of what's being presented to you. Now, listen to this. The ancient Egyptian concept, I'm saying ancient Egyptian, there's no biblical concepts in ancient Egyptian concepts. Okay, understand that, please. Now, the ancient Egyptian concept of the spiritual constitution recognized 9 separate but all interactive parts that constitute the personality of all human beings. Not some, not male, not female, not black and white. It says all human beings have this 9 personality characters that you can learn and understand better for yourself. Watch this. So now the sage, aka me, I see the body as a marionette created with what? Right thinking, right thoughts by what? The self, or as a projection of in a dream. I did the dream state before because our concept, I'm gonna get to that later on. God, we live in God's dream, and God's playing all the roles. Okay, in your dream, you're in control of you, but in your mind, other people, that other stuff is going on. But guess what? You're in control of all of that. That's how we look at God, and we are part of His dream. That's the concept. Okay, now watch this. It's like being awakened from a dream. Once the physical body dies, what do you think happens? The sage, the enlightened one, those who know themselves, find themselves obtaining nihas, who has discovered him or her oneness with the absolute self. You remain as the self and does not create any more. Incarnation was incarnation. That's the spirit. When the body died is not enlightened, it got to go be incarnated in another body. So they got to get a baby and go through all the rigors of life again. That's what it's called, and it's called reincarnation. Okay, conceptually. And the idea is to enlighten your spirit with your heart. United, it comes with a heart-mind coherence. It's meant for you to purify your heart by what? Living by certain rules they call Maya. The reason for that is that the he or she has what? Discovered their essential nature, which is what? God. They have no more desires for what? More human experiences. They knew that if they enlightened, they would not have to be reincarnated, or their heart won't be eaten by Amenet, and their consciousness will be erased, and hence they'll die twice. But the key was to enlighten yourself and guarantee that life in the afterlife. The life expectancy of the Egyptians was about 50 years, some say 35, but they didn't have long life. Shouldn't get it done because it's going to be over real fast. If you don't, you go back again. Hence reincarnation. All right, here we go. But watch this. Once you get enlightened, what you need to learn, you've learned it. You're here to learn. Your spirit is in his body to what? Get enlightened so he can go home. It's here because the guy before him, he didn't do it. But mine is cool. Why? I've enlightened it. It's comfortable now. We on the same accord. So I'm good with that. And you people who are Christ-like, it's Muslims, Jews, whoever have knowledge of self and know conscious God for themselves, you good to go. We on the same boat. Don't worry about, well, you ain't a Muslim. Don't worry about that. God don't concern himself with that. He wants what he wants from you. You know how he do. All right? So therefore, there is no cause for what? Another creation of any more new egoistic personalities. No more bodies, no more back, do it again, no more mulligans, okay? This is the whole concept that the Egyptians lived by. We play the you get to heaven, believe in Jesus, and you get to heaven and say Jesus, and Peter let you in. That's fine. I just don't subscribe to it. I understand. I know it don't make a difference to me, but we had something else before the Bible. This one tries to get to you. That's all. Not that the Bible ain't good. Don't know. It's not about that. It's about something that was before. That's all. Here you go. Back to the lesson. I'm enjoying this. Now, this is the state that I have experienced right now with respect to all the ignorant living people in the waking world of what we call ordinary human beings, walk around looking like zombies, walking around. Oh man, yeah, that third eye, I see all of that. Okay, watch this. You see, I am no longer caught up in the illusions of the world any longer. I'm awakened. I reached the Nihas. I'm spiritually enlightened. I know myself through spirit, knowledge, and living. Okay? You have to purify the heart. You have to speak Makadu. You have to open the third eye. And then you get the crown chakra open. You good to go. Ding, 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 ding. Alright? That's what I've done. Okay? And now, some people call it liberation, salvation, Haruhud, Mahdi, Nirvana, waking up, meeting Asar, resurrection, again, Christhood. All those is names of finding God for yourself. That's all it is. Simple as that. So it don't make a difference what name you call it, what you call it. But when you make the connection, that's yours. Because you're going to be judged on what you know, not what somebody told you or not what somebody believed. The highest goal of our human existence is to wake up to ourselves, become God conscious. God which is in you, not out there, inside. You want to find him, you dedicate your life to doing the right thing, living, doing, and being, and guess what? He'll say, good job, my good faithful servant. That's when it's done, not when you die. I digress. Let's go. Knowledge is derived from what? The senses. Senses are illusionary. 5 senses in this physical world lie to you. Yeah, you can smell it, you can see it, you can hear it, taste it, and touch it. Thought is what counts. Thinking is what you have to understand. That's what's important. That's the sixth sense. That's the spirituality of man. It's in the mind. True knowledge can only come from what? The understanding of the union of the duality of opposites. Now, if you look at yourself objectively, watch this, you will see that the human body is changing constantly, moving toward what? Its own extinction. In other words, death. The body's gonna wear out. Okay, it's built to run out. The spirit that's in it is on the time clock, so to speak. If the person that's in it don't wake up the spirit gotta go back and do it again. I love that idea because it fits, it works. All right. Some people may not like it, but I got a problem with that. All right. You reap what you sow. All right, here you go. Next one is, what's this? Now, the body has a start date and an expiration date. That's nature. Right now, the leaves on the trees were gone since October, November. Now, next month, April, the weather change starting to get good. What? They come back to life, hence resurrection. But the spirit resurrects, not the body. The physical body, party's over. One and done. Okay. I tell anybody, that part, thinking the body, spirit can come back to the body, nah, it ain't. We know that part, but they thought, so it's cool. And I tell anybody, if you have a concept, and that's fine, you have a belief, that's fine. But if you find out what you believe and what that concept is wrong, what should you do? I'll wait. And you wonder, is this real? This world is an illusion. One, you get out what you put in it. Hence, you reap what you sow. We only here for a season. It's called lifetime. Some cut short for whatever reason, but we only here. The body's gonna run out anyway, so it's going to expand. Okay. And what happens is you reap what you sow. You put in. Now, upon closing examination of life, the real you is not changeable. Why? Because the real you is pure consciousness and one with the supreme we call God. The ancients called the Nebuchadnezzar, the Netter, supreme being, who is what? Eternal. But remember, right thinkers, the teachings, the great God inside the common folk from chapter 17 from the Per and Haru book. But what does that mean, you ask? Everybody gets a shot. It means your inner self is one with the divine self, which is God. That's why my right thinking philosophy concepts or science of science will show and prove to you that the real you, the innermost self, is unchanging. In a discussion, the spirit is in you. Your job is to wake it up. It can't do nothing until then. In the discussion, watch this, and you wonder, what is it that is constantly moving, constantly restless from the time you get up in the morning until the time you go back to bed? It's your thinking mind. Okay? With all of its working, with all of its worries, all of its desires, all of the beliefs, all of the ambitions, and all of your regrets, you have to deal with that on a day-to-day basis. And if you don't know how to control that, if you can't compartmentalize your thought process, you can't weigh out the good from the bad, you're going to have fetters. Fetters is problems you cause on yourself. Okay? Watch this. Now, together, all these thoughts, good or bad, constitute your what? Your mental conditioning, your personality. Here we go. And most of all, your ego self-concept. We keep talking about this devil. We keep creating this fictitious person. You are that person. It's your ego that you need to get control of. Only through the process of your human experiences in this world, in which your mind has become brainwashed, your spirit is under hypnosis, so to speak, why conditioned to expect to see reality in a certain kind of way, and so it perceives life according to its conditioning. Programming, reprogramming, brainwashing, false information, leading you down the path of falsehood with belief. But this kind of conditioning leads your ego, and is what's really holding you back from being what? Able to realize your own inner self, which is all encompassing, all knowing, and all blissfulness, contentment, and abiding peace. Your ego is the main culprit for you not attaining that concept. Why? Because you don't know yourself. You know yourself, you will conquer your ego. That's how you know who you are. And this process of reaching peacefulness and bliss and fulfillment will never happen. And we keep blaming on this fictitious person that they call the devil, not knowing it's really themselves. You see, watch this, your ego personality, which is like a movie character, Denzel Washington, everybody wants to be Denzel. Okay, watch this. That emerges at the beginning of your life in the movie and fades away when what? Reality sets in. You can pretend to be whoever you want, but reality, when you still got to be you. And if you don't know you, when the movie's over, you still confused and lost. Watch this. Now, your personality emerged out of what? Your own mental conditioning. If you don't study nothing, you don't enhance your ability to comprehend and just listen to what somebody say to you, you are being programmed. You are being literally programmed, conditioned. Watch this. At the time of your birth, and ever since then, it has non-stop what? Changing, moving, craving, and searching for what? Fulfillment in what? The real material world. That's the egoism, is the idea of what? Feeling separation from what? Self. Ego is edging God out. When you're ego driven, you feel separated from yourself, which is God. And watch this. And grown attachment to what? The material or illusionary personality that is that also, watch this, arises out of your own dream quality of consciousness. You're self-serving yourself when you're fulfilling your egoistic desires. And the Egyptians told you your ego is set. He gave you everything you need to know about him. He don't produce nothing. He's no good. He will kill. He destroy everything bad and negative is set. But we want to give it to the devil. But guess what? That's you. Keep trying to make that point. I'm going to drive that point home. Stop blaming this fictitious person and understand everything you do that's against what's natural, what's good and divine, you're going against yourself. That's yourself doing what it wants to do, fulfilling its own thing, edging God out. You want to be alone? Knock yourself out. Live the egoistic lifestyle and see what happens. I know, but go ahead and knock yourself out. Watch this. You're only intensify what? With distractions of your mind due to your constant pursuit of fulfilling those bodily and physical sensations and desires and pleasures of the flesh. Now, if the flesh is identified with the ego, then you understand what I'm talking about. But don't separate the flesh from the ego. Why? Because the ego runs the flesh. When you satisfy the flesh, that's the ego being satisfied. Watch this. Now we're about to get into the part. When the body is being fulfilled because you're even doing drugs, you're having sex, whatever it is, but the body is happy. That's the ego being fulfilled. But if it's not divine or righteous, it's not a good thing. This is why all the time of death, the gross aspects of your ego personality, the body, the cop, which is called, and the Ren, which is your name, will cease to exist. The body gonna die. Your name also will. Watch this, will cease to exist. That's what is meant by what? Death twice. To die twice, meaning the physical body gonna die and the conscience of that person gonna die. Why? Because you wasn't pure heart, you didn't pass the judgment, you fell the Maya, so you got twice, conceptually. Alright, watch this now. The ancients saying was, don't suffer two deaths. See? They know nothing about that because they didn't take that aspect. I ain't going there. Now, the idea, like I said, the two deaths, the body gonna die. At judgment, you get a chance to prove yourself. If you fail, you die twice. That's what that means. Watch this. Now, but the impressions created through your ego personality, unconsciousness, will leave you still craving for those unfulfilled desires. Even at the death, you still want what you want. That's ego. Okay? Watch this. Now, this happens because why? Of the deep unconscious mind, the ego, which is who you identify yourself with, ain't nothing else. The ego mind, with all its conditioned, misunderstood views and impressions and desires for those things serving surviving death, and goes with you to the do-what? The astral plane. If or until your time is to be born, reincarnated again. If you fail, the spirit has to go get in line and a do-over in the next level. If you pass, you going into the next level, you good to go. They call it heaven now. That's the place that Jay said you go to heaven, or you going to place a bad place. They got a place there too. We know that too. If you got opposites, one's good, one bad, you can't have one without the other. Okay, up, down, in, out. You can't have outside without inside. Understand that? Okay, watch this. Now, you're born into being reincarnated means you failed the test at Judgment Day, and the spirit had to come back again in the earth plane to what? Once again, continue to seek fulfillment, aka spiritual enlightenment, to reach Nihas in order to get into heaven. What we call the afterlife. Alright. We halfway through. We doing this thing. Hope you're enjoying it. I am. Next thing is, when you get thyself ready to make negative thoughts in you, when you get ready and make the negative thoughts in you a stranger to the world of illusions. That means you're getting control of your negative, the bad desires, the negative thoughts. They start to become less frequent. Why? Because you're not acting on them. They don't come when you don't act on them. Okay? That's an old ancient Egyptian proverb. Now, the concept is that our world is really God's dream state. Here we go. That we get to partake in as human beings with God's essence, meaning we're little gods living in His world. Okay, hetero living in your own world. The spirit lives in the Creator, who made the world, nature. And just like when we awake from a dream, in which when we were having it, it seemed to be so real. And when you lucid dream, you can really act out your dream. You can really be the star of the movie, so to speak. All right, but once you wake up, you realize it was just a dream. In the dream, I'm all of that. So you wake up, you kind of disappointed. And if I tell anybody, this is a quick one story. If you ever had a wet dream, that should give you an indicator that the mind can control the body to the point where it thinks it's having something that it's not really having. Feel me? Okay, that's the power of the mind. Now imagine that power connected with the heart brain. The manifestations is unlimited. A man said, Info DC, think unlimited, think unlimited. I just say think right, and that'll put you in unlimited concept. Okay, watch this. Now, remember, the dream world only exists, what? In your mind. Does not need real time or space, but everything seems to be real. That's why the phenomenal world in which we experience now is our awakened state of consciousness, okay? And as is also is not real and does not exist except in the mind of God. This is God's dream. I hope you understand this, man. I hope it's making sense to you. I know some of y'all getting some saying, what the hell are you talking about? That's okay. All right, here you go. So therefore, from an advanced perspective, from an advanced perspective, God is eternity itself. If it were possible to perceive the eternal universe, then you would discover that there is only one oneness, an eternal view that is not restricted to time and space. Before the time and space, it was Him. This is the view that God has toward His creation. He so marveled in what He done after putting air, after putting moisture, after bringing fermentation, after giving the cloud cover, also bringing us the sunlight, doing all these things. Then nature, then animal. He decided, I want to go for the ride. That's who we are. We're a guy going for a ride. How about that? We're spiritual beings having human experience. Whatever you want to cue it, but yeah, you should understand the concept. That's all. I'm trying to give you a better point of view, a better understanding, rather than that mumbo jumbo. Ooh, no, it should make sense. I hope this is making sense. All right, so here you go. So right thinking concepts will help you grow out the limitations of what the mind, body, and discover the cosmic vision that lies within. Right thinking concepts will help you accomplish this, and you will gain a new perspective of the universe, the world, and yourself. When this happens, this is what is known as the death of the human being and the birth of the new spiritual being transformed into a higher being, knowing thyself, okay, being the enlightened one, aka Haru, the hero of yourself. You're your own savior. You have to save yourself from ignorance and spiritual degradation and doing all the negative things, and live Maya, purify your heart. Speak Makaru, open the third eye, and reach the seventh level, the crown chakra. This can only be reached with what? Right thinking philosophy and Maya spiritual disciplines. They will curb those wanton, unpleasant desires of the ego, thereby strengthening the will of what? Your intellect, knowledge, thinking. You have to think right, to act right, and to be right. That's what it's all about, okay? The science behind right thinking philosophy, and it is science, and the practicing of living a spiritual lifestyle, aka virtuous lifestyle, will serve and assist you in what? Performing what? Your purifying of your heart, mind, to okay, to ultimate peace of mind. To obtain ultimate peace of mind, you have to do these things, or it just won't happen. A purified heart, a clear mind, and a third eye awakening, speaking Makaru, those are all qualities and aspects that you have to bring to light in order for it to work for you. I do. You can do it too. Trust me. That's what I'm trying to teach you to do for you. That's why I do what I do for you. All right? Here you go. Watch this. Thereby, you will have what? Develop insight into what? Your innermost self. God, the essence of who we are is God. So your innermost self, the cosmic soul, is constantly interacting with the world through what? The mind. Everything is mental. Okay? We getting there. Hold on, we getting there. All right? It's like as if you was wearing yellow sunglasses. That means everything you see through them would be what? With that yellow tint, okay? And it's the same way when you look at the world through conditioned mind and senses, just like the yellow tint. With yellow tinged glasses, your vision, which is tainted yellow with egoism and degraded thoughts, but most of all, ignorance of your true self, God. Again, unspiritually knowledge, have unspiritual knowledge of self, you are ignorant to God. And the major cause of body identification is you only identify yourself with your ego. Excuse me. The ego is I. The ego is me. So when you make those decisions to do what you want to do, why would you blame somebody else? I'm just saying, take responsibility, because that's what happened at Judgment Day. You're responsible for all the things you do, so you reap what you sow. If you decide you want to do something, that's what you want to do, you're fine. But guess what? You have to pay for that. Like the judge told my dad, you dance to music, you got to pay the piper. If you don't want to pay the piper, sit the dance out. I'm just saying. I'm moving on, I'm trying to get this. I got an hour, I'm working on it, I'm trying to get it done. Here you go. Now watch this. Right thinking philosophy concepts will help to eradicate this mental conditioning with knowledge of self and understanding. Then you would see a different reality. The third eye open. That's the reality you need to see with. Sorry, calm me down. I'm getting there. Working my way to it. See, this is truly the goal of right thinking philosophy and disciples of the mystic spirituality, to what? Purify your intellect. Desire, SAA. That means mastering yourself and raise your intellect and intellectual ability to what? Cut through the illusions, the BS of life with what? Acts like wisdom, knowledge, to purify your subconscious mind from all the wrong conditioning. That means you need to wake up, get out, study to prove yourself proficient, and live it and prove it. That way you are who you think and say you are. It is this purification of intellect side that will lead you to what? Awareness of what? Your higher self, God, aka know thyself. So in the end, with the use of right thinking philosophy, my spiritual practices, yoga and wisdom, yoga of action, yoga of devotion, yoga of meditation, you can gradually improve your mind to go deeper and deeper levels of what? Perception of the truth, until you discover the absolute truth beyond all delusions, layers of the mind for yourself. Self-discovery. Mm-hmm. But the things you got to do to make that happen is work that you have to do. We getting there. All right, we have what we call mystic formulas. That's designed to awaken the innermost memory of The ones who are spiritually asleep, this was going to wake the ultimate identity as one with what? The divinity who has brought all into existence and who will eventually also dissolve it all back. When God wakes up, it's a wrap. We go back to the noon, conceptually. It won't happen in our lifetime, God forbid, but that's the concept. But that concept was over 10,000 years ago, so it ain't happening, so just keep on, the sun keep rising, we just keep on going through the motions, all right? But when he decided to wake up, know that whoever he is, this is a wrap. But while I'm here, I'm doing my thing for you. Let's go. I'm almost done. I'm about to get to the 9. At least we start out getting to 9 elements. We ain't got there yet. I know it's a long way around. I appreciate you staying with me. Those who still are. There you go. Now we go. The ultimate discovery, though, is coveted by what? All mystics of the world. We all know the truth. That's why we do what we do. In other words, the temporary mortal existence is not the ultimate reality. Here we go. The 9 elements of the individual human personality are derived from the universal God, Ra. First, the Ku, K-H-U, or the Aku, A-K-H-U. It represents by the ibis bird. You know who he representative of, symbol of Tahuti, the god of what? Reason, knowledge, and wisdom. This all relates to the what? The pure spiritual essence of human beings that is purified by lucidity of what? The mind, being conscious, aka God conscious. Now the Ku or the Aku is the spirit which is immortal. It's inside you. It's a kind of 9 parts. It's the only first one. All right, it's part of the body. It is eternal, it's ethereal, it's ethereal being. The Ku is also referred to as what? Being the light or the luminous being inside you. The Ku illumines the personality, and without this light, the personality and the mind cannot function. You need identity. That's what your Ku is. All right, it is the light of the consciousness itself. This little light of mine, we all got it. Okay, just don't let it shine. Number 2, the Ba. The symbol of the Ba is the Jabari bird, which is a stork. Brings the baby. Then sounds familiar. Okay, the Ba is a bird with your face on it. So when the spirit, when the body dies, the body takes off. Its symbol is the nature of the soul to spread its wings. How I get that from? Okay, and it takes flight, and it exists apart from the body. See, the Ba is the heart or soul which dwells in the Ka with the power of what? Metamorphosis, sometimes described as the soul, the higher self. God dwells in the heart of man. It is seen as the spark from the universal Ba, God. The Ba may be, was dialogued with. It can be a spiritual guide to developing the individual. It is the equivalent of the Hindu Atman. It is the indescribable, eternal, and immortal spark of life. Krishna, or everybody got one. It's not affected, watch that, by anything that may happen to the senses, the body, mind, or intellect. Your mind is not affected. So when the soul, the body, has no more use for the body, I'm out. Physical body is discarded and returns back to what? The universal body. But if it ain't awakened, it's going back to do it again, all right? If it has been enlightened, again, you gotta remember, the spirit have to make the mind, heart, mind, coherence, connection, or it can't make it to the next phase, the afterlife, all right? If it's not, it will what? Reincarnate in another body and here on earth to do it again. Learning a lesson, becoming awakened, that's your lesson. You come here in this realm to do, in the physical body. Just wake up the spirit and send it back. Conceptually. All right, number 3. I got to roll now. Now I'm on the clock. Here we go. Now the Sahu, spelled S-A-H-U. The Sahu is number 3. The Sahu sometimes referred to as the glorious spiritual body in which the Ku and the Ba dwells. Again, you got everybody's inside something else. Everybody got a different function. Again, they're all interacting as part of your personality. right? When the elements of a person are integrated, i.e., person moves towards what? Or reaches enlightenment. The spiritual and the mental attributes of the nature of the natural body are united and they deify. The Sahu is the goal of all right thinking philosophy or followers. It is the reason for all human existence to become what? God-like while still alive by what? Spiritualizing your physical aspects and thereby allowing them to become proper vessels for the higher aspects of your personality to what? Unify one to life. Oneness. Number 4, that's another part of personality. Number 4, the Khaibit. Khaibit. That's the sunshade aspect. It produces the shadow. Okay. When the light is reflecting on it, the Khaibit is therefore an outline of the soul that is illumined by what? Light of what? The spirit. So then the shades are the subtle reflection of what? Soul, but they are not self-illuminating, and which they are for exist only because of the what? The preference of light and object. In this case, the object is the soul. That's what makes it happen. So then the Khaibit is the subtle manifestation of the elements of the personality that's not somewhat as a resistor in the electronic component. The cause of the shadow, sort of speak, when it's placed in the electronic circuit, and in the same manner, the Khaibit or other elements of the personality consume spiritual energy from the spirit and produce a certain kind of image that after we refer to as the personality of the human being. The Khaibit or the shadow is associated with the body from which it receives nourishment. Oh yeah, it also has the power to what? Of locomotion and omnipresent, meaning it's always there. Number 5, the ab. Here we go. Now we get into the home stretch, y'all. The ab, which is the conscious ab of the man, is his or her God self. I tell you, God dwells in the heart of man. The ab is our conscious, and where Mishkanet, Hari Karma, okay, resides, who is the mother of reincarnation. This represents the heart, and this symbol of the deep unconscious mind, God self. The consciousness is also the repository of what? Unconscious impressions which gather in the past experiences from the present life and the previous lives. Again, the spirit has been around, okay? Since desires can never be fulfilled by experiences or from objects in the world of time and space, so at the time of death, the ignorant soul will still what? Harbor impressions of what? All unfulfilled desires which lead to the further incarnations, still in search of fulfillment and happiness and pleasures of the physical world. If you do that, the ego never gets satisfied. Okay, this point is made clear. Watch this. In the Egyptian book of Coming Forth by Day, it states, "My heart, the mother of my coming into being." It was believed that the mind is seen as the source of incarnation coming into being because it contains the desires and illusions which couple of humans, which compel a human being to be born to pursue what? The fulfillment of those past desires. Things that you didn't get in the last life, you're going to still try to get them in this life. So you're chasing yourself. When you back in the day, they were doing that freebasing. Once you get that first hit, after that, you're chasing the dragon. You're chasing something that you're never going to catch. He's always in front of you. Proverbial carrot. He's always going to be in front of you. You always got to keep going for it. You never get it conceptually. That's what the ego does for you. Send you on that wild goose chase. Send you on that carrot trip that you'll never, ever get the carrot if you ride with the ego. Okay? So in other words, your own reasoning faculties will be the judge as well as which is being judged. You judge yourself. Understand that. Decisions, you have to make them. But guess what? You're responsible for the ones you make. Get better at it. You don't have to worry about it. Watch this. The heart mind itself dishes out its own judgment. It knows. That's what discernment is. Based on your own deeds, iri, which is actions, your own heart, which will fashion, mother, your own fate come into being. This is according to your own will, desires, which are based on what? Your own level of understanding, wisdom, knowledge of self about your own true self. Your embodiment goes according to what you have done in previous lives and your desires for the future. If your desires are for worldly experiences, you will keep reincarnating. The Ouroboros, you're going to just buffer, keep going over and over again until your desires are to go to where? The West. And join who? Asar, God. This will bring you spiritual enlightenment. Just like myself. Number 6, you almost home. Second, the line is here. But the second is the life force, the female life force or power that exists in the whole universe. This symbol is a handheld staff. When used in worldly terms, it refers to a scepter that means physical power, authority, and strength. In spiritual terms, the second is the power of spiritual personification of the vital life force in humans. In dwelling places, it is the heavens along with the Kahus, K-A-U, in which all life draws upon this force in order to exist. Second also denotes the potency, the erectile power or force used in fashioning one's own glorious new body for resurrection. That's your boy Kunum on the potter's wheel. That's the concept. Number 7, the car. Everybody can see the car. This is the car. It's saying touchdown in the referee of the football game. It's 2 arms going up, okay, joined in the middle. The hieroglyph for the car is 2 upraised arms joined together as the car. It is the abstract personality or the ego self. There you go. The Egyptians knew who they were. This is where the source in which the subconscious desires emerge. It's also considered to be what? The ethereal body, the possessing the power of locomotion. It also survives what? Death of the physical body. It don't die, okay? It is the ethereal double containing the other points of the personality. This concept of the ka was well known in India also, and the word of the same ka was known that the Indian god Brahman had a twin ka, and the teaching of the ka in ancient Egypt and India goes to show that they had a keen understanding of the reflective qualities of the personality. But in reality, the physical personality is in reflection, or more to the point, a projection of what the astral body, the ka, is tied in with the second, and that it is the driving aspect of a person's personality in what? The astral plane. We just talked about in the beginning, probably missed that, but yeah, it comes back. It is the driving aspect of what? The vital force in the body of all human beings. Number 8, we getting there. The Ren. The Ren means name. The cartouche that they wear, the pharaohs had the cartouche. That's called the Ren. The Ren, your name is essential. Attribute is an essential attribute to the personification of being. You cannot exist without a name. Everything existent has received a name. This is essential quality of that which comes into the realm of time and space. They tell you God named everything, or Adam was about to name everything. No, the idea is everything has a name. The name is something found encircled by a rope called a cartouche, and like, excuse me, this is called a cartouche, which the ancients called it a ring, which is associated with a shin, a symbol of eternity. You see a circle with not turn around the bottom. That's the shin along with the Okay, the rope part of the symbol, the cartouche, represents a rope of what? Sunlight or second force, life force, okay? Harnessed into the form of a circle. It is said to be the most impregnable structure to protect one's what? Name against attack. The sign for the ring is the mouth and water. The symbol of the mouth is of paramount importance in excuse me, ancient Egyptian mystical wisdom. The mouth, which is used in two of the most important mystical teachings of the ancient Egyptian yoga, the creation and the opening of the mouth. The creation, he uttered himself, the mouth ceremony in the book of the coming forth by dead. God also created the universe and himself by means of utterance of his own name. Okay. It was taught from the book of coming forth by day that the mouth is used to what? Manipulate so as to promote enlightenment. Why is the mouth so important? Why is the mouth so important in mystical symbolism? Watch this. Spoken truth from the mouth. Makaru. Okay? True of speech. Now, last, the cot. The cot is the concrete personality, the physical body in which you are harnessed in. It refers to the solid aspect of the human being, bones, skin, blood, etc., senses, organs, etc., which all is transmitted and mortal. Okay, transient and mortal means is born, is going to die. The cot goes back to the earth from which it came. The spirit go back to heaven if it's lightened from which it came. And my program is at an end. I appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. That's what I do for you.